interviewing for a job isn't always a smooth experience, which is why we're going to show you how to make it easier. In our last hour, we told you about the cooling job market. Openings fell for a third straight month in March with roughly 6.9 million jobs available. Layoffs increased to the highest level that we have seen in 2 years. And that being said, people are hunting for their next career opportunity. I misspoke. I transposed those two letters. It is 9.6 million jobs available, not 6.9. Now, if you've landed the interview, you need some shine. Let's bring in Tessa White, author of The Unspoken Truths for Career Success and host of the Job Doctor podcast. Good morning, and thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
All right, what are some of the biggest mistakes that people make besides screaming at the interviewer, not knowing that they can see you and hear you?
I love that clip, by the way. One of the biggest mistakes people make is that they don't know how to address their value proposition. And that sounds like a big word, but really you need to be able to express to the company how you will solve the problems they have and be able to share how you made a difference in the last job you have. So you're not just spurting off a job description. You really need to talk about how you made a difference.
Now, in some of the places I've worked, they just flat out don't have enough people. So your value prop is, I can breathe and create fog on a mirror, and you need people. It's not that easy, though. We used to have 2 jobs available for every one person that wanted one, and now it's not like that. So how can you stand out? How can you make sure that you're the one that gets the job, seeing as it's a little bit tougher to get one these days?
I tell people to use this simple framework. The biggest mistake people make in an interview is that they ramble. And I've interviewed thousands of people. So if you can just start by answering the question with the skill set you're trying to demonstrate, and then go into an example of a time that shows that, starting with the problem, the 2 things or 3 things you did to solve it, and the outcome you got, and then close with this. How will I use that skill in this company to solve your problems? You'll find that that framework is very easy to understand, and you're just form-feeding this answer to someone so they don't have to draw conclusions. You are actually drawing the conclusion for the interviewer, and it has a great effect on the interview.
Now, one change the pandemic brought upon us was these Zoom interviews. Now, you saw that video movie clip. It was funny. But Zoom interviews can be awkward. Any sort of video interview can be a lot different than actually being in a room with somebody. How do you make the most of them and stop that awkwardness from stopping you from getting a job?
They are awkward. And as much as I'm on Zoom, I still get awkward myself. I would recommend to people that the first thing they do is make sure the lighting is good, because dull lighting can do a lot to hurt a Zoom interview. The second thing is practice ahead of time so that you understand the energy that you have to give. In a Zoom interview, your energy doesn't translate the same way that it does if you're in a face-to-face interview. So you have to give it a little extra oomph for you to come across the way that you want to come across. And with a little bit of practice, I think most people can make a couple of small improvements that make big differences.
It is never awkward with you. That is Tessa White, the Job Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us. I consider this Zoom interview a success.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.